was 5 boards, he said. Take one.
Hit the thing and say all stand for the pledge. Call this meeting order.
I call this meeting to order.
All stand face to face.
All stand face to face.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
You may be seated.
First of all, I want to say we got 2 students, one from North Vermillion and one from South Vermillion, Rachel Hazelwood and Ashton Fowler. Glad to have you both today, and they'll be part of the meeting. They will also be visiting all the office holders today, and they also got to ride back and forth in the sheriff's car, so it's been a good morning for them. We'll start this meeting. Roll call. Britton Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Tim Yokel's present. Approval of minutes.
Make a motion to approve minutes as written.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approval of claims.
Make a motion that we approve claims.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approval of payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
Second the motion to approve payroll.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Treasurer's report.
Florinda Pruitt, Vermillion County Treasurer. You have the Treasurer's report. This is the interest report. Total interest for the month of April, $11,631.43. The main checking account, which is First Financial, earned $10,857.79. The ARP money earned $494.70, and Trust Indiana $173.53. First Financial, we have 1 CD for cum reassessment was $105.41 for that grand total of $11,631.43.
On that amount, does that go back into each account it came out of? Does it go back into the general account?
Goes back into the general fund.
Okay, and then we had some interest earned last month also. It started coming up last month, correct?
It moved from 0.15 to 0.40, and everything else is following suit. So.
Okay. Any other thing from Treasurer's office? Anybody got any questions for Linda?
And you're welcome to bring the students over when you're done with the tour. We'll put them to work. How's that? Thank you.
When you pay your tax bills, that's who takes your money. So. One of these days you don't realize what that's all about. Board of Health report. Is that buried in here? It's all down in here. I'll find it before I do give it to me.
There you go.
I will say last month we had, was it last month that the Board of Health came, our last meeting? Paula Market did a wonderful job. I think it's the first time that we've seen a health officer at one of our meetings since I've been on the board. And it was very informative. I think we got a good relationship with Paula. I think she did a wonderful job. And if any other commissioners got a comment on that,
I think it was a great report given.
I echo the sentiments.
Tim, I think you skipped public comment too before you.
okay, so we'll come back to that. I'm going to read this and then go to public comment. Positive COVID-19 cases from 5/1 to 5/9. A total 11. The spread is low within Vermillion County at this time. The Vermillion County Health Department is still doing testing of vaccines at the Health Department on Monday and Thursdays 4 to 6 p.m. The majority of the vaccines that are being given are boosters. Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson are being offered at both clinics. Routine vaccines are available. You do not need an appointment for them. The next Vermillion County Board of Health meeting is scheduled for May the 17th at 6:30. It will take place at the Vermillion County Health Department. I want to ask for any public comment. If you have something to say, please come up and tell us who you are, and you have a right to speak. So, anybody? Thanks for that RJ. Jail.
Short of it is that we're under roof now. We're dried in. Basically, the walls are in except for one corner where the cells have been placed in. It may be closed up by now. Everything is tracking very well between the budget and the progress with the jail. No delays in timing with supply or equipment at this point, minus the ATS, the automatic transfer switch. But we have an alternative to that, which keeps us on basically our critical path. So everything's going very well at the unit at this point.
I was by there the other day and it looked like they had the cells coming in.
They're in.
They're in. I see them. I had them on the back of a semi there, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
So they're all set, all of them, or they still got more?
They're in. They still have to place them in. They're all inside, but they still have to place them in.
That's going to be two
close.
levels, right? Be
Yes.
2 levels to be stacked on top of each other.
Yes.
Very good. Remain rise.
Bob sent an email out this morning that he had a meeting with the State Economic Development that he probably would make it this morning.
Okay. ETA, I don't see either of them here. They did get their grant of $1.1 million. I think they talked about that last time, so. Okay, we're gonna go to new business. Scott County agreement for inmate relocation. That's something that
It's just a standard agreement like we have with the
yeah,
other
come on up
counties.
to the mic and please.
That's just a standard agreement like we have with the other counties that are holding for us now, but we're looking for other agencies because we keep filling up and keep having to move them out. And our other holding agencies are full themselves, so we're branching out across the state right now.
I had a talk with
That's
Derek.
a long haul. We don't want to have to do that, but we can't be real picky right now either.
Where's our jail population right now? I haven't looked at here lately.
This morning is 75, I believe,
Okay.
which is down a little bit. So we've got some that went to DOC. We've got more waiting on the judgment of convictions and the DOC. Once they get everything coordinated, then we can transport them to DOC. But we've got about 6 or 7 that should be going to DOC here before long.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion on an interlocal government agreement between Scott County and Vermilion County regarding the transfer of inmates pursuant to IC 35-33-11 as in title.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, ordinance 2022-10, any temp checks?
I
Here's
would
the
like,
courthouse.
yeah, I would like to, I know most ordinances we do a first and second reading. Per the health department, I think the temperature checks is long overdue to lift at the courthouse, and if there's no objection, I'd like to make a motion to approve county ordinance number 2022-10 by title, lifting temperature checks for COVID-19 courthouse ordinance in Vermilion County, Indiana.
On the first reading.
On the first reading, yes, thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Commissioner County provided portable computer and mobile phone. Brett, what was the issue you had that?
We've had issues with one of the campaigns asking basically carte blanche from day, actually before even elections last year, for information both on text, cell phones, emails, basically anything under the world underneath for commissioners and office holders in the courthouse. One of the issues that we have is that the commissioners do not have computers nor access to the county court system or county records and files. With that, we need to also have backup for the things that we're doing. So if we're sending information, making documents, if you will, that they're actually getting backed up in the county system instead of having to rely on private or individual systems. Same thing with cell phones. We have texts and so forth that go back and forth. It's a burden to have to go back onto our cell phones to pull out private information, redact information, and then actually print information and forward it on. It becomes not only cumbersome but expensive and time consuming. So that being said, I believe that the county should provide commissioners with both the cell phone and with the computer systems that are properly formatted to the.
The cell phone is available. I had one, I didn't need it, so I turned it back in.
Well, we're going to have to start using those, or otherwise it causes
John,
other
what do you
issues.
think about that?
It's up to you guys. I mean, we do need to keep records of, if you're conducting county business over a device, or a record should be kept of that business.
Okay.
So it's up to you guys how you want to do that. If you want to have a county email and just say, yeah, text is convenient, but if it's business, I'm only going to do it over county email, or if you want to have a device and have our tech people set it up so that all that's recorded, you could do that too. You just have to follow the basic rule and store those communications.
So, I mean, what is standard procedure that you would see that?
Well, I don't know that there's a standard procedure in place anywhere in the state. The rule is you have to store those communications for 3 years. So if you want to keep your personal texts and just be personally responsible for keeping them for 3 years, that's up to you. If you want to use a county device, that's fine. Or if you want to use use like a county email or something like that, that would be fine.
Right. I mean, I don't need a laptop. I know Britain does a lot of work, especially taking care, I don't know if you know it or not, but Britain's overseeing the jail project, which is I don't know, you know how much advantage it is to the county to have Britain as a regular PE engineer, and he's overseeing the biggest project we've ever done in this county. And he's doing it practically for nothing. And any way I can assist him with his paperwork and make it easier for him, I'm going to support him. I don't need a computer, and it's up to RJ to what he wants
Yeah,
to do.
I don't.
And maybe we got some extra sitting around somewhere, I don't know. That
What I suggest is that we have the ones sitting at the EOC right now that are supposedly backups for each of the office holders here, and they've never been used. In fact, they were just updated, and that's a problem, keeping them updated with the proper.
So there's some available down there? Okay.
Yeah, we have, I don't know how many, but there's 6 maybe.
Would you have any problem using one of those if it was updated?
I think there's 8 down there.
8.
And the one reason they said they did not want to give those out, just to let the office holders take them home or whatever, is because they have the proprietary software that they need for their jobs on them. So they're not just a basic laptop.
Or all of them have that information, all of them are.
I would guess whatever they need for that, each office is on there, but I'm sure there's one you could probably figure out that they could just clear and you could use.
Well, that's one advantage. Part of the problems that we have is that most of our, I can't say all of our work, but most of our work is done under Adobe, and with signatures and with being able to read and create documents that hopefully can't be changed as they are distributed through the county or through organizations. Right now, we're absorbing all that. I have it on my computer, but again, that opens my computer up to whatever. Plus, if I get viruses or anything from people sending me things from the government, that's another issue. Backup, I think, is a problem, and that I back up my computer, but I don't do it consistently. The other thing is that with the county, that information goes directly, so if I go away for whatever reason, that information becomes available to the county.
Is that
Otherwise, I'm
something
not
we
so
could
sure
do?
that would be the case.
Mark, you think we could get something set up for him that way down there with?
Get the EAS text and just have them pick one out. The software is like they pay for a license for these people. I don't know what auditors use.
But regardless, whether we use those
Do you know if
computers
there's
or
some down
others.
there for the auditor?
Yes.
Specifically?
Yeah.
Because we have laptops here as well, so I would suggest you pull the auditors out, because we have laptops here as well.
Well, regardless of whether we are able to work it out at the EOC or not, the issue is that our communications are not backed up. They're not necessarily secure. We can't access the county files or place things into the county files for that matter. Even with our flash drives now, we can't do that. I cannot directly put anything in. I can't email one of the office holders, primarily the auditor, and she can put something into the files wherever that may go. But for me to be able to access that, or for any one of the commissioners to access any of the records, we cannot do that directly. We can do it indirectly. So regardless of whether we get it from the EOC or whether it works out, that was a suggestion. We should be providing instruments for the commissioners. We do it for every other office holder. Not only every office holder, but departments as well. So,
You want to do some more research on that and get back with us? And
no,
figure
we
out
don't
getting-
really.
I mean, I have
think
no
we ought to
problem
do
with
it.
Do I?
My recommendation is to do it. Whether we have to purchase or go to the EOC, it's just a matter of what the costs are going to be with that.
Okay, like I said, I don't personally need one myself, but I know you do a lot more of the technical stuff, and especially Joe and all the paperwork you have
Do you use your phone to read all this?
most times.
Wow.
Well,
I'm not home very much.
Well, like John said, you know, the laptops, the county email thing, I mean, I think that's a good way if you could just use one email address. Because I know, Brendan, sometimes when you send stuff out, it's hard for me to keep track on what email chain you're sending from. Sometimes it'll come from 2 or 3, and I think if you would use just the county one, that would probably help, regardless if you use your personal or the county. But if the county has a laptop that's not being used, I'm all for it. I just don't want to see any more added cost, you know, added to the county. But if we have one that's sitting around not being used, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Well, I agree with that, but also I know that what Britain is doing is saving the county hundreds of thousands of dollars, to be truthful. And it's a small thing that, in fact, I would help fund that myself if need be, because that's how valuable I believe that Britain has been to this county. You might not understand that, but when you're overseeing a large project like this, we get paid $20,000 a year, and he's overseeing a $24 million, $25 million project, and he's an engineer. And he has a capability to make good decisions that none of us could make. So I really appreciate what he's doing to jail. Been a big asset. So any way we can help him, I want to do it. So.
What's the pleasure of the commissioners?
I'm saying if you need one and you can work it out, if the ones are not available, then come back with a cost of doing that. And then go ahead.
If he doesn't have one available, I do. That's
Okay.
fairly new.
Okay.
We're just keeping it around for spare. It's
Okay.
brand new, up-to-date model.
And cell phones? What are we doing with that?
I turned mine back in, so it's, you guys still got, did we send it back?
I think she sent it back, but I'm not sure, but
I think it's just poor practice.
I mean,
It's, well, the whole thing, if you're not using a computer, I understand why you may not need one then, so be it. But when we got emails and texts and you're reading, whether you have the computer, your phone is basically your computer, you're still sending information, you're still receiving information, of which is all county business.
Okay.
And you're doing it on a personal device. That's a problem, I believe, for the county. It's not, we're not recording, we're not keeping, who knows what happens to the information. We are only in office for 4 years. That means at the end of the 4th year, if you have to provide information for the next 3 years, you still have to be available. You have to keep that information regardless of whether you live here or in Alaska or wherever else you're gone to. You need to make that information available to the county. And I see that being a problem for internal controls and for the operation of the county, for all commissioners and actually all office holders for that matter. So if we're doing stuff outside the county with our information, with the transfer of our information, the preparation of our information, I see it being not a proper management tool.
John, would you recommend us all have county cell phones?
Like I said, it's up to you guys. You just, the rule is if you're doing county business, that record has to be maintained for 3 years. So
if we do anything on our personal device, we got to keep it on our personal device for 3 years.
If it's county
according to law.
business, if it's county business, if you're making a decision or scheduling a meeting or doing something like that. Now, if you're saying meet me for lunch at 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
that's not county business. But so if regardless, you can either have a county email and only communicate through that email. You can have a county issued device and turn it in when you're done, or use your personal device and then you're responsible to maintain those records.
I personally, after thinking about it, I would rather have a county cell phone, do all on the county cell phone and give it back to them and all the records there and everything's there. It completely divides my personal from that. I think that's to break
Yeah, I mean,
that up.
that's a good idea until you use the county phone for personal use. Then you're no better off than you were in the beginning. But if you're good about making sure you don't mix it, then, you know, I would leave it to the pleasure of you guys. I have no issue with if someone requested my emails and text, hand them my entire phone and say, go through and try to find whatever you're looking for, you know, I have no issues with that. But if you guys would like one, and the county's already set aside a budget for the cell phones, then I would say leave it at the pleasure of individual commissioners. I'm not gonna be in favor of forcing people to take one, because I don't see any qualms with handing over my device if they need to look through it.
I don't either, but I'm basing on what recommendations to be above board on everything. And that's the only way I know possibly to do it. Can you get us a quote on that? Bring it up for the next meeting. Okay. We're gonna move on down to the purchasing ordinance.
I don't have it in here, but I think John provided an updated purchase ordinance, didn't you?
I did. I don't see it in the packet, and I didn't bring a copy because I thought you guys had
I
it.
thought. Was it just sent to us, maybe? And
I think I sent it to all three of you and the auditor.
okay.
You wanna put that off till next, or we can actually?
Actually,
I do have it here.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I remember looking at it, because you kind of combined everything
Yeah, I
from
put
all the past
all the
ones.
existing ones together.
I have it on my personal computer. County ordinance number, anyway, county ordinance number, and it's to be filled in. Oh no, that's closing the courthouse. Did we close the courthouse?
Not recently.
Maybe I don't have it on here. Let me take another look. Let's just leave that alone for a minute, and then I can come back to it, unless...
That's fine. I was just going to recommend that we do a first reading of it, is what I was going to recommend, if we could find it. But if not, we can wait till next meeting.
If I had my glasses, it would help.
I give you mine, but mine's distant, so I'm not sure that'll help. Close.
Why don't we just let it go to the next meeting? Everyone have a hard copy in front of you, I think it'd be better. You guys okay with that?
That's
That's
fine.
fine.
Office and departmental considerations, ARP committee, we are still waiting to hear back from Joint and AT&T, and who else was it?
Baker Tilly.
Baker Tilly. We're getting a scheduled meeting with them. Should here in the next 2 weeks we should have a meeting.
Did the ARP committee already meet then?
Yeah, we had one meeting.
Did you guys talk about the consideration of Bridge 90?
We are looking at how we're trying to figure out how we're gonna budget everything, a certain percentage to certain things, and we'll be making decisions more about where that money's going at the next
Okay.
meeting.
I would still like to encourage
Sure.
the ARP committee to consider Bridge 90. There's over 40 homes back there, isolated, and I think we've outlived the lifespan of Bridge 90. So if you guys meet again, I'd just like to strongly encourage a possibility of setting aside, I don't know, $400,000 or whatever the bid was.
Have you checked any more about getting funding for that bridge anyway? Have you tried to get?
There is, I mean,
I tried.
Yeah,
I've made multiple requests from different possibility of grants and/or grant matching funds, and I've struck out I think 3 different locations, and I've not been able to come up with anything at this point. So the recommendation from the engineers was that it should be replaced now, or basically now, that it would not wait for the 5 or 7 years for the federal grants to kick in. There is a possibility of using Crossroad grant money. Going money, I don't think that's enough, but it's close. If District 1, that's a problem anyway. District 1 still has Crossroad monies to go for. That was to provide for sealing of all the roads that we've done since 2018 and a little more, but again, we're hurting ourselves if we don't seal these roads. So it is kind of a catch-22 with using those funds. Otherwise, it's an additional appropriation.
I think I think ultimately, since we have been using some of the federal, grants to do these 80/20, I think this would probably be the last bridge that we'd probably have to fund ourselves with a big cost, because I think that 80/20 federal project is a really big lifesaver for us.
We do have 3 bridges, or 4 bridges, I'd have to look at the record, that are at 0. They're in problems and need to be replaced here shortly. And we'll have to assess whether, we're in the process of assessing whether, when the costs will be available to us, or the monies will be available to us. So I hope that's a true statement, RJ.
Yeah, I hope, yeah.
I'm not so sure it will be, but I hope it is.
Currently, we have 2 bridges that we got contracts or got them approved for funding. Bridge 122 in my district, for I think it was $800 and some thousand, and it was approved, what, 2 years ago, Britt?
Yeah,
That's
4 years ago.
Takes like 4 years for the project.
This is
and
22, yeah.
Can't keep up. Britt just got approval for his bridge for 1.2 million or something like that.
No, it's 2.2 actually.
2.2
You were right,
million
yeah.
dollars.
And it won't come due until 27 though.
So we got a lot of bridges we're trying to get, if we get to a place we can put them on schedule and have them scheduled out, and instead of like situation there in District 3, it's, you know, we're paying for all of it. When you get federal funds, you get an 80-20. It makes a lot of sense if you get that done. I talked to the Clark Dietz the other day about that, about trying to get that schedule set up, and I think they're working on it too, about in a progressive for so many out years.
Mhm.
That's going to save the county millions of dollars, and Brett's been very instrumental in helping on that. Appreciate it. Ambulance. Getting an update on that,
Ambulance
Brett?
committee here.
Good deal.
Mark O'Hare, we met last week for the first time. There was 4 out of the 5 people were there. We divided up jobs. We're meeting again next week, bring back some information, going to try and get some ideas of the cost of an actual building, kind of putting together a plan to report back to you guys. We're kind of in our infancy.
Sure.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Economic development. Doug has. Appreciate Doug and what he's doing.
Good morning, Doug Hess, Economic Development. Just a couple things give you an update on. So this coming Friday the 13th, we will be launching our social media that we've been working on, which will be our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn account. So we'll be launching that. The other thing that we're working on that we're really excited about that's going to go on with the social media, we're still working out the details, but we're thinking about launching a weekly podcast that's going to really highlight some of the different things that's going on here in Vermilion County. Not only are we going to be focusing on businesses, but we'll help promote whether it's like the Ernie Powell Museum for Tourism or festivals that's coming on. So really working on that. So we don't have all the details worked out, but we are trying to flesh out those ideas. The other thing is, starting tomorrow at 9 o'clock, we have about 15 individuals that's going to be meeting at the fairgrounds with us. We're going to be kicking off our branding campaign, where we're going to start branding, talking to business leaders, etc., about how we can brand or come up with the marketing for Vermilion County. That'll be kicking off tomorrow, but that'll be one of many different things that will be going on with that. A couple other things I just want to highlight. Bob Drury and I have restarted the conversations with Ivy Tech. We've talked to the chancellor, and so later this month or early June, we will be meeting with them regarding the CDL license A and B that we're looking to have at the RISE. They've asked us to wait until late May or June because Ivy Tech did graduation, and then they're getting ready to start summer school, and so we just got to get through those hoops for them, and then we'll be meeting there. And then the last thing I'll just say is that we do have 2 prospects that we are talking with. Unfortunately, we have non-disclosure forms, so I can't really talk anything about that. I think it was 2 weeks ago when I was last year. I talked about one of them very briefly. I can just tell you that we have moved to phase 2 in that process. Still several steps to go before we can talk about it, but we have cleared one hurdle of many. So kind of a quick recap of where we are with the economic
When you
development.
say that they're going to come up with a logo or something that sells Vermilion County, right? That's their goal? Are they going to come back? Are they
Yeah,
going to
so
come up with a final decision, or are they going to bring a couple for discussion?
Oh yeah, well, we're going to have a couple decisions. Well, I mean, everything from the color scheme to what it looks like, the logo. I mean, think of down in Terre Haute where theirs is a level above, and you see billboards out there with the level above, or down in Columbus is different by design. Something of that kind of a catchy slogan, so when people think of Vermilion County, they automatically think of X, whatever we come up with.
You think we ought to put that out too, for open for suggestions and let the county?
Well, we're definitely open.
Someone might have a real bright idea, you know?
Yeah, I've had a couple people already come to me with a couple suggestions, and so we take that back to them, and that'll be in the mix. And so we are nowhere near making a decision. Like I said, we're literally just kicking this off.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
County space officer allocation, we got a meeting set up, RJ?
So last week when we tried to set those meetings up for the election, people were pretty busy. I think this week, depending on your guys' schedule, the prosecutor was very open for schedule. Probation was pretty open for schedule. So pending your guys' schedule, we can pretty much meet about probably any time.
My
So-
days are gone the rest of the week. During the day, I work all day.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, I can do anything.
Okay, we might be able to do something maybe with our work session next week, maybe prior to that.
Yeah.
We could maybe do that, or,
Wednesday next week will not be good for me.
okay, maybe Monday or Tuesday then?
I think so. I'll have to confirm with you though.
Okay.
Later in the afternoon is better for me than trying to get up out of bed in the morning.
It's probably the same with you, RJ.
Yeah, later
Trying
afternoon,
to.
we're good.
Trying to.
Okay, I'll coordinate with the other office holders
As soon as had a.
send out an email and confirm some times today. 16th or 17th.
Okay. Solid waste management, cleanup days, post report, and tar recycling. Penny, appreciate what Penny does.
Penny Carpenter, Vermilion County Solid Waste Administrator. We had our spring cleanup this last weekend. Went very well, actually too well in Cayuga, because we filled up at 4 o'clock on Friday, so we had to turn people away. We gave them the option to go to Summit Grove or to come back the following morning. Most took it well, a few didn't. And on Saturday we ran out of room at noon, and there again, we sent them to Summit Grove, where we were done. With that said, this year we kept tally marks of where people were from. We asked everybody that pulled through, where are you from? Clinton City, Cayuga City, Eugene Township. So I have that as a breakdown of everywhere. But we had a total of 361 loads between both garages. The Cayuga garage had 178 loads, and we went through 12 dumpsters, 12 30-yard dumpsters. That does not include Green Valley's dumpsters, that we had 2 from them, and it does not include Sugar Creek's for the metals. Clinton garage had 183 loads, and they went through 9 dumpsters. So even though we had 5 less loads, technically loads at Cayuga, we had a lot more stuff. So we did the best we can do, and it's always a learning curve. Still getting TVs with the big tubes. It amazes me they're still out there, as many as we've collected over the years. But it was a good event. On that note, next weekend, well, this coming Saturday, from 8 a.m. till noon, we'll be out at the Rise doing our tire recycling. So we're ready for that event.
Problem with contractors this time?
We did not at the north end, and I don't believe, I talked to Dee was in here yesterday and we spoke. She didn't mention any problems with it.
Okay.
We did have the 3 load limit, so we told them and they said, we'll be back. I said, make your loads count, because you only got 3. So.
And we did take donations too, if
Yes.
people.
We got 41 at Cayuga and 35 at Clinton
Yeah, so
for donations.
On the tire recycling, the first regular tires are free, right? 8.
The first 8 are free, and that's $1 a tire after that.
Okay, some gentleman called me yesterday, and he said he had a whole bunch of lawnmower tires, small tires. Now, will each one be $1, or is it?
I told him, he called me after he talked to you, and I told him, it was $1 a tire.
Okay, that's fine.
After the 8, but he's like, well, if I bring my wife, and I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah.
There's 8 and 8, so.
There's also, they sent a notice about a grant availability on a recycling grant.
Dee's looking into that.
Okay, when we gonna have a meeting scheduled?
I don't have that on the calendar yet, but let me get through next weekend or this coming weekend, and we'll get one scheduled.
Okay, 'cause I got some ideas on that grant thing too, so.
The one grant we are looking at is a 50% match. So we'll probably be coming before the commissioners looking to see a commitment of a 50% grant.
Yeah, we need to, we've you know, the market went up and down and crazy with recycle, and people don't understand why you can't make something happen because there's no market there. But
Right.
it'd be
And-
nice if we would get something going this year.
And with the way
It's been
taxes
hard.
are right now, I really, you know, we just need to find funding elsewhere other than raising someone's taxes.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, thanks.
Thank you very, very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, we'll go through some of this stuff here. We're almost done. County Regional Engineer status. You heard anything else back from the state on that?
No, I'll be approaching the IACC. They're having a I guess, social at the Sycamore Winery for the West Central section, and so I'll be soliciting assistance.
You're
from
speaking
them
on
as well.
that meeting?
Not necessarily. It's not a speaking event. It's a
Okay.
social.
Okay.
But I'll be hopefully socializing.
I have talked to Jim Meese, and they're very much in favor of sharing an engineer, so I'll be proceeding down that road also, so we'll have the information, so we can, when you think something, you'll know when it's say yes or no on that situation you're trying to get.
Well, we passed the first go, no-go decision, and it was a go. Now it's still illegal, and I'm afraid with the way the state operates, it'll be more than a year.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll keep proceeding, you keep proceeding, and we'll see what we can
Sure.
come up with. County maintenance specialist, and we're talking about the jail. What we're talking
yes.
about.
Well, initially, the funding comes from the jail, and Sheriff, would you like to mention what you've done with your budget to be able to allocate a maintenance person dedicated primarily for the jail, but where that may carry over to...
You already got that budgeted, right, for a...
Yeah, it's
someone?
budgeted for 2022. We had a maintenance line item, and last year during budget hearings for 2022, we found a way to split that up to pay for a maintenance person, plus have some funds still set aside for maintenance costs, but hopefully we're not going to have to use a lot of that with a brand new facility or a newly renovated facility, at least for a few years. There's always going to be some problems, but I think we'll be okay for the first few years as long as it's taken care of once it opens up.
And the reasoning for the person?
Those are specialty items out there. Everything inside of that facility, the electronic water controls, I mean, that's not the same as any other building you've ever walked into. Maybe, White's down there may have a building similar to that, but everything in that is being upgraded to all the modern standards. So, I mean, before that facility is done, you need to have somebody in place that is able to go through with the installation people and know what they're doing before they leave.
And what we're looking at is that there's so many different technical aspects with the existing structure that we renovated and the new structure, that's the pod that's being added onto it. And without knowing where the circuits are going and how they're being, what the rhyme and rhythm is behind the design of that, it makes it more difficult for an individual to troubleshoot that facility. Without pulling in people having to go through and reinvent the wheel again. So we're hoping to be able to circumvent that issue and be able to have a person on board now to see and understand how these systems are being placed, what the maintenance requirements are, and how to change those particular things out. Electronics always fail eventually, so it's just a matter of whether it fails in the first 90 days or it fails in the next 3 years to 5 years, but they will fail.
Yeah, there's a number of electronic systems that'll be implemented. Right now, they're doing the plumbing part, and that's just one of close to a dozen different electronic systems that'll be in there. My personal feeling is if they get involved now,
Yes.
they're going to know, inside and outside of all of it, but by the time it's completed, and that person should also be involved in, probably with you guys, or at least Britton, in the checkoff process at the end.
Yep.
To make sure that everything's working and they know how to maintain it once they leave.
And I think the monies are available come July 1st, is that correct?
They're available now.
They're now.
Mhm.
Anyway, I think we should advertise for the position and start making an earnest attempt to have a person on at least by July 1st, if not sooner, if we find that person earlier.
Yeah, I agree. The sooner you get them on board, the better.
We are now at that place, I guess, to
Right.
be able to say that it's worthwhile to make sure a person understands what's going on there.
And then, you guys still need to decide on how much you're going to pay a person starting out and what the.
Correct.
Typically, there's a $3,000 lower pay starting out that they gain back after a year or so, or whatever your step up is. But there's a there's a maximum amount currently in the budget. I don't know that that's what you're gonna hire somebody at, but entirely up to you guys.
Sure. So I suggest that we do start that search for the maintenance for that. If they're not needed there, we have other things we can have them doing as well, especially with our new annex here. So if it's not a full-time position initially, actually I think it will be, maybe more than that if they keep up with all the different contractors. But anyway, we do have other work that they can be doing as well, or looking at. So.
But you're ready as soon as possible to get someone in there?
That's my recommendation, yeah, because they're gonna start closing some of this up in the next few weeks. Like I say, the plumbing is already 99% in place now. They're gonna shut that off and move to the next project in a very short period of time.
Mike, how much money's in your budget for this maintenance?
I don't know that you wanna say that out in public, but I can show you.
Oh yeah, that's fine, if you wanna share it with me so I know the amount.
Well, I mean, if you say that number, then you're gonna have people applying that expect to get that number when that may not be what you wanna start them out with, and it gives you room for growth over the next few years.
Yeah.
Let it suffice, we have a budget line item for it.
Do we want to get Rochelle and you together to coordinate some kind of what's required, what's needed?
I'd say for Brett.
I didn't hear what you said.
Are you going to put together something to send
I
to the
will.
paper for the application?
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So if the hire is supposed to happen on July the 5th, then we probably want to have everything out there 30 days before or something for
Well,
applicants
No,
to apply.
probably the next 2 weeks to have applications.
that's
It'll
about-
take time to actually put a person on board. If they're already working, it'll take them to give 2 weeks, so if we wait 30 days, I think we're gonna miss the boat.
No, 30 days before July the 4th is what I mean.
Well, we'll start now. We'll start advertising now if everybody's okay with that.
What do you say, RJ?
That's fine with me.
Okay. Well, you're going to get something out and advertise, and we'll get going on
Yes,
this.
I will.
What about setting the pay rate and stuff like that?
That probably requires an
Might wanna
executive
talk to-
session, maybe.
Do what?
That may be an executive session for that, since it involves personnel and agreements, contract,
Okay.
whether it's a contract or not.
I'd like to have the sheriff involved in that. Whenever we do that, we're good.
Sure.
So we need to get that scheduled here within the next week or so.
Yeah, I'll have something to
Okay.
Brenda later today.
Okay. Okay, the jail primary, well, you got anything else on that?
I'm sorry,
No.
where are we at?
On the second page. The applications, we've already covered that, because you said, is there
Yeah,
another addition thing to the jail on that primary, where you had to go there, or not?
I don't remember what I had down there, or the idea for that.
We can come back to that. The courthouse annex, we did get a hold of, did you send the proof on the seal to Bose? We sent the proof of the seal to Bose, not Bose, but Ace Sign in Terre Haute. And they will be getting up a drawing, and we'll send it back to all three commissioners for you guys to look at and see if it's what you want, or something you want to add to it, something you want to critique. So that's where we're at on that. And we did cover, RJ did say we'll have a meeting here for long to get some office holders over there to discuss placement. So anybody else got anything to say about the courthouse annex?
What I had these down here for was, these are where we're going to have to decide on personnel, on how we're going to maintain these facilities, the jail, which if we have a person, then that's whether they will continue with some of these other duties as well, or just the jail only. But other things that we have is courthouse annex, the remote facilities. We're looking at adding an IT specialist on.
Is that, we'll have to go
next
through
year.
to get that budgeted in, won't we, for the?
Yeah, this is for
19?
2023
Okay.
that we're looking, but we need to be considering those things now.
Okay.
Budget comes up June 1st, and we need to have the money. If we're not going to fill the positions, then there's no money or no line item. But if we're going to have these positions, we need to make sure that we have it budgeted.
What do you think, RJ, about IT, someone here in the courthouse?
Yeah, so, in speaking with the council members, I think, having a full-time IT specialist would be great, but it's gotta make, fiscal sense. And we pay EAS, a good amount of money, so we're either gonna have to cut EAS, in my opinion, down to a certain amount.
Right.
Because if we're gonna keep EAS and then pay, say, well, no matter what it is, if it's a $60,000 salary, you just might as well say $20,000 to $30,000 in benefits. And I just don't wanna, I am a little bit conservative still, so I don't wanna spend more money than we, have to. But I do think a primary IT person is a good idea. It's just, I think we're gonna have to cut and balance that, and if we can't, then I would suggest not adding it then, but.
I'm not so sure we're going to be cutting, but it's going to be taking things that EAS is doing and having a profit associated with it, an overhead, and bringing it to the county level where it can be done on a daily basis as opposed to a on-demand
And we
basis.
could, of course, look at the past bills from EAS and see how much,
Yeah, and I think that's,
and
and I think that's what we do in our budget prep. If we look at it and it doesn't look cost effective, then I would be against it. But if we can save money, then I'll be the first one to say, let's do it.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, these are line items that are under consideration that we can argue for, or against, or discount, whichever the case may be. But hopefully all of them bring a benefit to the county, and it's potentially, I don't know if I like to call it savings, but a reduction in cost on the other fronts that will help pay for these.
Let's see here. The park maintenance, do you have anything on that?
One of the proposals on park maintenance is that they're all part-time now. I believe that the maintenance crews are seasonal, if you will, and that we have potentially need for one person to be able to take on mowing on the outside. Again, depends on how all these other positions come to light, but we have remote facilities that we take care of. We have remote park facilities that we keep adding to at this point that need potential maintenance, and that possibly we are in need of or we could use a full-time park maintenance person that would stay on throughout the year as opposed to just seasonal maintenance. We have trails that we have not decided whether those go under transportation or our highway system or underneath the park system. We have our parks that we have added to it. We have maintenance in the parks. We have snow removal requirements. May be able to assist Terry here at the courthouse as far as the outside, or Terry can take care of the insides without having to necessarily take care of both. Anyway, this is a matter of discussion, probably more in light of what Jason's been saying at work session, if you will.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is that, the park board has their own budget, and over the years that I served on the council, if they felt they needed somebody, they would always ask for it, and the council would consider it. So my suggestion on some of the stuff that's outside of our purview on an extent would be let them kind of decide if they need extra people or full-time people, but that would be my 2 cents on that.
Commissioner's budget prep, you said got the courthouse annex, or you're talking about trying to get that included in the budget?
We need to add that to our budget line items, yes.
And Brenda, do we have a set date next week for a work session?
Yeah, it was the 16th, I believe.
May 16th, and that's at 3 to 2 o'clock.
You said possibly Melissa. I thought maybe she could come at 3.
Yeah, if we're going to discuss highway budget, I want to make sure Melissa Carty's involved, since she's been here for light years, I think, 15, 20 years, and it's imperative that she's involved in the highway budget, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, public comment. Anybody? Anyone? Excuse me.
Penny Carpenter, taxpayer. On the ambulance, who's all on that committee?
Can you?
Have Mark O'Hare can answer that question.
Yeah, it's Brent Lewis from Perrysville, Rick Weir, Kevin Wickens, Neil Costello, and myself.
Okay. With this, are you going to consider the ambulance does not use the local GIS mapping. And
That's not part of what we're doing right now. What we're looking at is where the ambulance needs to be placed. That's all we've been tasked to do.
So that's, so all the ambulance is just for the building, it's not reviewing the contract or anything, it's just for the building?
That would be a future.
Okay, that's all I need to know. And who didn't attend the meeting?
What's that?
Rick? Okay.
Okay, anyone else?
I would like to make a couple public comments, if I may. First thing, I know Ron Mack has sent a lot of emails to us about the right-of-ways for joint and stuff. I think that's something we need to task in the next few agendas. I think that's imperative that we kind of look at that. Second thing, I would like to make a suggestion that we limit our commissioner meeting times. I know the first year we talked about it. You know, I talked to John. I mean, today we're rolling along pretty good, but I would love to set an hour, hour and a half. That way when people come up to speak, we can limit them at 5-10 minutes. It's merely just my suggestion, so I'd like to say that. And then the last and final thing, I would like to ask about the mowing leases for the John Deere tractors. I don't know who was tasked with that, but we are now paying $50 an hour to mow our roadside ditches.
That's something we can address in the meeting.
I mean, I know today I'm spending $400 mowing today for 8 hours, so.
Well, I'll address that. All that information was forwarded to you at the beginning when those leases were, well, to Commissioner RJ instead of public comment RJ, was forwarded to you, and you agreed to those lease agreements. What it was is that the leases came due, the tractors were not available. So we had a choice. We could either not have tractors because they were purchased by AHC, the persons who has actually their John Deere leases, but they're administrating those. So when the leases came due, the tractors were not available because of supply. They won't be available until August. We went ahead and signed contracts for that. In the meantime, we either do without tractors, or we rent those from AHC. So that's $50 an hour. You had that information in front of you before.
Well, what I was getting at with it was talking to John Deere. I was told that since these agreements weren't signed in time, that these tractors would have been here before August if they would have been tackled with last July or last fall.
Well, then why didn't you sign them then?
Well, it's not up to me. My understanding is Mike Clark has always handled these,
Oh, no.
and
Oh, no.
and former commissioner handled that, and then I'm not over the highway department. I mean, you know, so that's not me. I'm just saying for the taxpayers, we're now paying an extreme amount of money that could have been saved.
You need to look at the documentation.
I have read all the documentations, Britton. I'm just saying that I think there was a ball dropped last fall or last summer, and I think it's not good for the taxpayers that we got to put extra money now.
Two things I want to address, which he stated. He stated that about joint. I don't know if he's aware of it. We just had our meeting. What was it, last week, Ron? Very good meeting with joint. We were coordinated things. I think they want to work with us, and I think that issue that you're referring to is in the process, has been resolved. But it was a very good meeting, wasn't it? We had people there, and we both knew that we had to come to a resolution. And the good thing is about they was very open that they don't want to do no harm. I think they expressed that, and so I thought that was a very positive meeting. The second thing to meetings, I think today we're doing good. If we can, I agree. I don't like to see 2 hours, 3 hour meetings, but the meeting before we had a 2 hour meeting, I think it was a very good meeting. I had very many comments that we talked and discussed things, and that's what the people want to see. They want to see decisions made based on people conversing and talking. I know in the past it seemed like some of our meetings were 15 minutes and years ago, and I mean, if you're happy with short meetings, that's fine, but I mean, we as a county got to look at the load we got. We got things coming in. We're doing a jail project, biggest project we've ever done, and there's a lot of things going on, and I agree. I want to keep them, you know, we need to keep them moving good, but I will never limit a meeting based on time versus what we really need to be doing. We have a duty to do here, and I do think that we ought to be as flow and get it done as quickly as we can, but I don't want to limit what we actually got to discuss. There's a lot of things coming up, a lot of things going on, and I think we're going to get more stuff going on, and I think it's important to realize our county's doing very well. We really are. And our commissions work together good. We have open conversations, And I don't know about the live feed. You know, some people, the live feed that has been a positive thing, I think, for most, because most of them go back and view it, but sometimes it seems like some people become critical, but that's fine. But I think we're doing very well as far as the commissioner meetings, and I agree that we need to run them as quickly as possible, but yet we need not limit we need to cover the stuff that we have to do. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Tim. I just think there's agenda items we should have, and I think there's items that should be tasked to maybe a work session or, you know, like public service announcements. I'm not sure we need to do those every meeting. Just again, my opinion, I've just grown frustrated over the last few meetings, and it's just getting kind of tiring to where I want to limit myself to an hour and a half and just walk out at the end. I'm here for the taxpayers, but there's stuff that are on here that just, there's no decisions going to be made with some of these line items. So I'm growing frustrated, and I've shared that in emails, I've shared that in text, and I'll continue to do so. But anyway, those are my comments.
Okay, closing comments. Anyone got a comment? A positive? Anyone got any positive things to say? Or negative? But, appreciate you all coming today, and this is your courtroom. And you're welcome to come here, and we appreciate you coming. Anyone have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sign.
Meeting
Got me some
adjourned.
paperwork to
Meeting
sign.
adjourned.